going to kick off this meeting talking about young Republicans that we're trying to attract. I've noticed, like, when I go as a delegate to state convention, and I look around the room and I feel like I'm one of the youngest people there. So anyway, we've got Tyler Sacramone is the. I blew it.
You had it this morning.
Sacront. Anyway, Tyler is the OCRP Youth Vice Chairman, and we also got Riley Linting here, who is the MIGOP, Michigan GOP Youth Vice Chair. So take it away, Tyler.
Good evening. What a crowded place today. Anyway, so my name is Tyler Sacramone. I am the youth chair of the Oakland County Republican Party. And a couple of months ago, I had an idea after the first NORC meeting of the year. I thought, how cool would it be to gather conservative youth leaders from around the state to come to one place and talk about what they're doing, how they're enhancing the conservative movements, whether it be in their community, on their campus, within their religions or cultures. And we got a really great lineup of a few speakers tonight. And if Brett is around here, there he is. I'm going to have Brett come up first. Brett Galacheski. He's a Turning Point Action Enterprise Director, and he does a lot of work in the state of Michigan.
Thanks, Tyler. Hey, guys. Tyler, can I grab the mic? Is that cool? Can I take this off?
Well, we got the mic camera there.
Okay, as long as I maybe just won't.
Stay put.
Yeah, you bet. Okay. Hey, folks. My name's Brett Galacheski. I'm the National Enterprise Director for Turning Point Action. My home is Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I'm also the Vice Chair of the Milwaukee GOP, home of the RNC this summer, the Republican National Convention. So I hope to see some of you out on the RNC floor this year. Yeah. Luke Malice is our Great Lakes Regional Manager. He has food poisoning. So he could not be here tonight. It's unfortunate that he got really sick. But I was here in Michigan this week for some meetings with some county GOP leaders and a couple events. So I'm happy to tap in for Luke and talk about the awesome stuff that we have going on at Turning Point Action. So first of all, thank you, Tyler, for the invite and including us here tonight. Because it's a youth-centered theme tonight, I want to talk a little bit about my story and then what our organization is doing to get more young people involved, sort of that next wave of conservative leadership. I'm 27. Like I said, I'm the vice chair of the Milwaukee GOP. Our chairman in the Milwaukee GOP is 22 years old. We are the second youngest chairman, vice chair duo in the conservative movement. How cool is that? We are now seeing in real time that next generation of conservative leadership stepping up and not just joining their local Republican parties, but having a say in them, influencing them, and help determining the future of the party. I went to Marquette University in Milwaukee. For some of you guys that are paying attention to March Madness right now, they're in the Sweet 16, hopefully going to be in the Final Four. I went to a Catholic school. Marquette's a Catholic school. I thought that going to a Catholic university was going to go hand in hand with my conservative values and principles. I found out very quickly that that was not the case. Right now on a college campus for a young conservative, it is a scary place. I couldn't tell anyone that I was a conservative when I was in college. I sat in the back of all my classes. Nobody knew that I was a conservative because I didn't want to be labeled as the class Nazi, the class misogynist, the class homophobe. Whatever the left calls us, I didn't want to be that person. It wasn't until I left college and ultimately started working for Turning Point Action that I realized that there are far more conservatives on that college campus than I ever could have imagined. They all were just keeping their mouth shut just like me. If I would have seen one other student in my classes that wasn't afraid to speak up and let their conservative voice be heard, I would have been 100 times more likely to get involved. So my call to action to you all tonight is if you have young people in your lives that are just as passionate as you are and they're not here, they're not involved, they're not even thinking about getting involved, it's up to you to be those voices to help those young people in your lives take that leap of faith and get on board. Despite what the national media says about Gen Z being the most socially liberal generation of the last 100 years, I'm here to tell you we're actually the most fiscal conservative generation of the last 100 years. And it's based on how we were raised. We can clap for that, sure. We are the most conservative generation of the last 100 years. We were raised by Reagan-era Republicans. I'm 27. My parents' very first presidential vote was in 1984 for Ronald Reagan. So you have people that are my age and just a little bit younger than me that were raised by parents who were exposed to Reagan-era conservatism in their adolescent and formative years. And for the most part, they pass that on to their children. What happens though? Students get to a college campus. Professors, I think, have realized this, that we're in this generational window of opportunity for the conservative movement, and they've doubled down on their indoctrination. I always tell students, if you're looking to find yourself when you go to college politically, if you're not careful, you will lose yourself politically, and it'll happen in a week. That's why at Turning Point Action, we're so excited to recruit and activate that next generation of conservative leadership. The infrastructure in the Republican Party is there. We as young conservatives just need to get in positions of leadership so we can ultimately pivot to that next generation. In order for the party to survive and advance, it needs young people to step up. I'll say it again. In order for the party to survive and advance, it needs young people to step up. And you guys might be surprised to hear that outside of these four walls, almost no young people know how to get involved. Almost no young people know that events like this are happening on a regular basis. Okay, if we do not stop this in its tracks, the next generation of leadership, the next generation of conservatives, us, we are going to have to explain to our grandchildren why they grow up in a socialist country. This is what we're chasing. So again, my call to action is to get those young people involved in your lives. Get them involved with organizations like Turning Point Action that make conservatism cool, that make grassroots politics the it thing to do. All of this year, we're going to be putting together Super Saturday events where we get young people together for a conservative party, for lack of a better term, and then we all go out and knock doors. If we get 50 people together on any given Saturday, and all 50 of those people knock on 20 doors, boom, do the math. That's 1,000 doors that we just hit in a 2 hour punch. That's the impact that we're hoping to make this year. In Detroit, this upcoming summer, June 14th through the 16th, which is actually Trump's birthday weekend, we're going to be holding our Turning Point Action Conference, the People's Convention. This is a giant conservative party. So those young people in your lives that I just mentioned that maybe you all had thought of, get them there. Get them there to that conference. Give them a taste of what conservatism looks like, what it feels like, so they can catch the bug that each and every one of you have. So I'm so excited. We have a table set up in the back with buttons, signs, and stickers, ways for you to sign up. In front of you all right now are forms that you can each fill out tonight. We'll collect those at the end of the night. If you'd like to get involved in what we're doing, we stretch beyond just students, beyond just young people. Moms, we want moms knocking on the doors of other moms. Catholics knocking on the doors of other Catholics. Farmers knocking on the doors of other farmers. We want you all to get involved because it's truly an all-hands-on-deck effort. In order to get a young person more involved in the conservative movement, they need to feel there's a community around them that supports them. And that's the idea with getting involved with us. So thank you again, Tyler, for having me. I appreciate each and every one of you. Come stop by our table at the end of the night.
Thank you. Thank you, Brett. That was going to be someone probably most of you are familiar with. That's Riley Linting. She's working with Turning Point Action, and she's also the MIGOP Youth Chair.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm so happy we have such an amazing turnout. First of all, Tyler deserves a round of applause. He kills it. I just love working with Tyler. I mean, obviously, Michigan is a huge state. I technically cover the whole thing with my youth chair role, and it's very difficult, and it's just amazing to have Tyler in charge of the youth, coordination, outreach here in Oakland County, and it's just so amazing working with him. He called me, and he was telling me that he wants Oakland County to see all the work that the youth are putting into our state that you guys don't typically get to see. And so after he said that, I'm like, this is a brilliant idea, and we should do this across the state. So more organizations and more county GOPs get to see what we're working on. Also, just a side note, it is not surprising that Luke has food poisoning. He goes to so many Republican dinners, and he was just in Ohio, so I guarantee he got it in Ohio. He's allergic to Ohio. He's a huge U of M fan, so I think the food in Ohio gave him food poisoning. So what I'm doing right now, so obviously I'm the youth chair of the GOP, and I have a role with Turning Point Action, and they go hand in hand extremely well right now. So, sorry, one second, this keeps going out. There we go. Anyway, so one thing we're working on is coalitions that Brett touched on, just as, he finished up his talk. And so with the coalitions, as he explained, we want moms reaching out to other moms, farmers reaching out to other farmers. But one thing that this has to offer is a great way for young people to get involved. So I traveled to these different universities and talked to a ton of different students, and they're very engaged in like the College Republicans group and Turning Point USA chapters. But many of them do not know what's next and how they can actually make a difference. And so I've been traveling the state and getting young people, as well as just our traditional GOP organizations, to sign up for these coalitions. And so one thing I talked about a lot when I was running for youth chair is alternative ways to reach people outside of just colleges. And so I had an amazing mom come reach out to me in the Downriver area, and she has a young group of students that, they've graduated high school, and they're not going the college route, but she's like, they are really interested in what's going on, but they really don't know what the next thing to do is. And so we organized something. She brought all these students to me. I talked to them about what their concerns are with our country and the state of Michigan, got them all signed up for our faith coalition. So they're going to be helping in the churches, and we'll still have young faces in these churches reaching out to Christians and explaining to them that it is important to vote and that we need your vote in order to get across the finish line. Only 8% of the church turned out last election cycle. So that's one way that I'm utilizing Turning Point Action to benefit my youth chair role and get young people involved in the party, is getting them to come to our Super Saturday events through the coalitions, where we will have food trucks and games and then break and each knock 10 doors. We don't want it to be intimidating for them, because a lot of them, it will be their first time knocking a door. And so we want that experience to be pleasant, and I'm sure some of them will end up being our best activists. So I'm super excited about that. Moving forward, I'm also working with Michigan Federation of College Republicans. I've been talking about this for a while, but I'm talking with Zach now. He's one of the board members of the MFCR, and we're going to work, and we want to put on a student-led U.S. Senate debate. So hopefully we can get that organized, and that will be a great way to get young people into our party when the panel asking the questions is young people, and we can talk to other young people about what we want those questions to be, to ask our, potentially next U.S. senator. So that's super exciting. I am working on, this is kind of a Tyler-inspired thing, and Chris, who unfortunately isn't here. Love both of them. The last event I was at that they spoke at, we had people asking, well, what do students care about the most? And people always ask me that question, and I always give them my opinion. And so I decided that it'd be a good idea to put together some kind of little survey. So when I'm at these campuses, they can actually fill out what they care about the most. So maybe next time I come to you, I can tell you a percentage, like this amount of people care about national security, or this amount of students care about, the abortion issue. And that way we can kind of frame our conversations to them strategically. And so I started that. I was just at Saginaw Valley State University 2 days ago, tabling on campus, talking to people as they walk by, and it's liberal out there. I mean, so many students walking by. I don't, never mind, I won't make fun of them, but that's not very nice. But there's just a lot of liberals on that campus, and it was refreshing because I was able to talk to students who, were, more on the Democrat side, coming up to us and ask some questions. There are people out there that will vote Democrat, but they're not confident about it. They have questions. They want to know exactly what's going on. And I had some students come up to me and say, my mom tells me to vote Democrat, but I'm just confused why. When I look around, I'm confused why. And so we were able to have conversations with them about why they should be voting Republican. And so students like that were less likely to get to sign up for our coalitions because they're so fresh. They're just kind of changing their mindset. But those conversations are just as important. We're changing the way they're voting. So that's super crucial to just have those conversations and be optimistic when we're talking to people. I want to talk to the people that disagree with me on these campuses because that's what's making the change. And so that's been super amazing. I'm working to make my way into other campuses coming up here, but Saginaw Valley was just super successful. And I'll be out to these colleges a lot more when it gets nice out, so we can be outside, have a speaker. We'll get a lot more foot traffic, so I'm looking forward to that. I'm also working to get a third grade class at Christ the King down in the Downriver area. They have a field trip to the state capitol on May 6th, and so I'm kind of trying to pull some strings to get some little special attention for them to get introduced on the floor and things like that. It starts really young, you guys, so yep. And so, yeah, that's pretty much everything I've been working on, and I'm excited to walk around and talk to each of you. Again, make sure you stop by our table and check out some of the things we have with Turning Point Action. But it's nice getting able to chat with all of you. Thank you so much, Tyler. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Riley. She's always doing such great work. Our next speaker is going to be Caroline Tepper. She's a Turning Point USA president up at U of M Dearborn. I've got the pleasure to go to a few of her events, which is where I met her. So I'm going to let her talk a little bit about what she's doing up there.
Hello. Thank you, Tyler. Thank you for the honor to be able to speak tonight. My name is Caroline Tepper. I'm 21 years old from Birmingham, and I've lived in Oakland County my entire life. I was raised with very strong traditional conservative Christian values, and I believe that those values should be preserved. I wanted to become more involved in the conservative movement because I am studying business, and I am also the president of the Turning Point USA chapter at my school, University of Michigan Dearborn. Since restarting that chapter back in 2022, we've hosted several meetings. I also hosted a school speaker event last year. We hosted Ian Howarth from the Daily Wire, and he came in and spoke about communist China and China's threat to the United States. As a business student soon graduating, I hope to work at Ford Motor Company in supply chain purchasing. I was actually fortunate enough to receive an internship this summer with them. I have previous experience also working with Deloitte in accounting this past year. And one thing that has really caught my attention working with these big companies is that how employees working in these companies, they do not reflect the woke culture that currently surrounds us. DEI has encouraged us to promote people based on their physical characteristics, and that's just wrong. I really hope to influence my work peers by highlighting the importance of promoting employees based on merit and the content of their character. It has been an honor and a pleasure to speak with you all tonight. I hope you all have a very blessed Easter.
Thank you, Caroline. It was the Ian Hosworth event that I met her at. That's what it was, and it was great. Our next speaker is Rachel Baker. I met her actually a couple months ago, and we got talking, and she has so many amazing ideas. Some of them she put to action already. Some of them Next Gen's going to be able to put together, but she's doing a lot of important work, especially within the Jewish community. So here's Rachel.
Good evening. Thank you, Tyler, for inviting me to speak. My name is Rachel Baker. I'm a Jewish American who is proud to be a Republican. If making up only 2.4% of the population wasn't enough, I'm also the minority amongst Jews who are by and large Democrats. 80% of Jews voted for Barack Obama in 2008. Despite Donald Trump being one of the most pro-Israel presidents we've ever had, you would be hard-pressed to find many Jews who admit that. Many Jews foolishly believe that he is an anti-Semite. I became interested in politics in 2016 at the age of 13, and I quickly realized I was and would remain the only conservative in my grade from Jewish middle school to high school. I stood tall and proud of my beliefs. I joined the Michigan Army National Guard as an intelligence analyst in 2020 and became a combat veteran at 20 years old. My work in politics and activism started in 2022 as I became a full-time staffer for the Ryan Berman for Attorney General campaign. Not only was this an exciting foray into politics, but because he was one of the most conservative members of the Michigan House, and he was also Jewish. After returning from my 9-month deployment in Syria, I started pursuing my degree in intelligence studies full-time, and I was presented with an opportunity to work as the political director for the HEMA for RNC National Committee Women campaign. Following HEMA becoming our new National Committee woman, I turned my eye to advocating and serving my Jewish community. I recently became the social media director for the Michigan Zionist Organization of America. As a combat veteran and current service member, I know how necessary it is to have the means to defend yourself against enemies. Another combat veteran and I have been working hard to facilitate Jewish concealed pistol license classes. Our first one was in February, our next one will be April 21st. October 7th uncovered how strict gun laws in Israel contributed to a populace being massacred. When Jews have weapons to defend themselves, less die. Following the October 7th terror attack, Jews have started to wake up to the realities of what the left advocates for versus what the right advocates for. Introducing Jews into gun culture is the first step in bringing them into the Republican Party. As crimes inspired by anti-Semitism continue to rise and anti-Israel sentiments continue to find company in the Democrat Party, I am now more convinced than ever that the Republican Party is the party that supports Israel's right to exist and the right for U.S. citizens to defend themselves. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening.
Thank you. Awesome, they're all so great. Anyways, now it's my turn. So, Tyler Socrates, Youth Chair of the Oakland County Republican Party. I'm not going to spend too much time because a lot of you know me, but I wanted to talk about a little bit how I got here and what I'm doing currently. So, it all started in 2015 when Trump came down that escalator, and that's when I got interested in politics. Shortly after I graduated, I joined a Turning Point USA chapter at OCC. I thought that was pretty much going to be it for politics for me, but then I went back to my old elementary school, and I found out that we had a lot of issues going on in the district that didn't exist when I was a student there. And I've been told to leave things better than you found it, and it was not better than I left it, and so I wanted to do something. So I ran for the school board. I unfortunately didn't win that time around, but that's okay. Everything happens for a reason. My campaign efforts were noticed, and a few delegates approached me about running for the youth chair position. So I got people to nominate me, and fortunately enough, here I am. Shortly after that, I joined our Waterford Cable Commission. I've been on that for a year. I'm now the vice chair of the Cable Commission. Another thing that's exciting is I work with a conservative nonprofit. We partner with different groups around the state of Michigan on college campuses. We partner with students. We provide them resources, materials, and basically we push the conservative movement. Anyways, one of the most exciting things that we've done with OCRP is we started the Next Gen program. The Next Gen program is for people aged 16 to 26, and we basically get people active, involved. We host events, and we offset the cost of that by doing a thing called a sponsorship banner. Last year we were able to raise about $2,750. This year we raised just under $9,000. So I'm super excited for the funds and for all the support. And a lot of you are out here that supported that banner, so thank you. I'm going to wrap it up here. I will leave with one last thing. My next venture is Township Trustee in Waterford, so if you live out there, please consider me. Anyways, thank you all for your time. Brett, Riley, Caroline, Rachel, thank you so much for being here.
Tyler Sockrant, good job. We need young people in the Republican Party, and so, and I'm happy for all of you that brought your children here, and hopefully we'll get more of that.